This is the Mafel LS103 EC chain mortiser. It produces the most insane sawdust waterfalls and cuts mortises in two ways using these two different attachments. It has an extremely aggressive chain down here that measures 1¼ inches this way, 1½ inches this way, and will plunge down up to 6 inches deep. The first way that it cuts mortises is with this fence right here, which slides right down here onto this bottom gauge. And then you can plug the saw in. Now this saw comes from Germany, so it's a 240 volt motor. Partly because it needs that big of a motor to run that blade, and partly because that's what's standard in Europe. And I knew that this year I was going to start getting some of these machines. So in this shop, I had my electrician run 2 lines of 240 volt so that this area right here could be for these tools. So then you can bring the tool over here and put it up on top of your workpiece. Once you've got it where you want it, you can come back here and loosen this off and bring that fence up against the workpiece. And that obviously acts as the reference telling the chain where to cut. Now the chain cuts in this direction, so it's going to be pulling the tool that way a little bit. And this fence then will hold it in line and make sure that you get nice square cuts straight up and down as you go through your mortises. And then there's 2 ways to set the depth stop on this. You can move it over to where it's going to go and then plunge down to the depth that you want the mortise to be. The first depth stop is right here. You just twist this over and that bar will come down, and then you can tighten it up and it won't plunge past that. The second one is back here, and it's this collar right here. So same thing, you can plunge down to where you want, and then you'll loosen that off, move that collar up and tighten it back down. And then as you plunge down, it won't go past that collar. And then you can move your saw over, grab a handful of throttle, and watch this thing make sawdust waterfalls. Now the second way to cut mortises, you'll take this nut off the top right here, then you can pull the mortiser off of this base. Then you can put the mortiser back down right here. You'll grab this fence, take this nut off the back here, and attach the fence onto this arm right here. Now they call this one the side fence, and this is for a different kind of mortising when you're not coming down from the top. So you might already have a beam in place and you want to cut through straight onto it, or you're on the side and you want to cut through like this. Now you notice right up here there's a scale, so you can set that fence to exactly where you want to. And then this depth stopper that I showed you before that you can use for the other fence, this is actually for in this configuration. So you can loosen this off and then set the depth right here, so that'll limit how far you're going to plunge into the wood. And in this case, I want to try and cut into this wood to meet up with the original mortise that I made. So I'm going to set that, roughly eyeball it, and then I'll set that right there. And then I can come down to here, I'll put my hand up on the top, and then I'll just plunge through. And then this acts as the reference to keep everything square. And if you're afraid of a little bit of sawdust, this isn't the machine for you.